So first of all, I just wanted to thank people for inviting me today to say a few words about Mal. Just to add to what Brian said, I want to share with you that I really didn't know very much about Mal when I first met him. And I knew that he had replaced Jack Wallace, and for those of you that remember Jack Wallace was very well dressed. He was never overweight. He was always very organized. When you looked at his desk, it was very clean. And quite frankly, those are things that aren't often associated with me either. But when I first met with Mal, he was not exactly what I was expecting. He was much more laid back, casual. He had a very, very messy desk, even much worse than mine. And at that time, on first impressions, sorry Mal, but I actually thought he was a bit rambling. He got to the point, but in a very kind of meandering kind of way. He was definitely a nice guy, but maybe a little naive about healthcare. And certainly not someone, on first meeting him, that I thought was going to have a very big impact. Sorry about that, Mel. So I was actually quite surprised just a little later to learn that picking up on Brian's point, that there were actually a lot of people in the community who knew Mal Anderson. I mean, our board chair, John Wade, seemed to be a close personal friend, John's successor, Jerry Gray, and there were an awful lot of other very prominent people in the community that seemed to know Mal Anderson, and actually thought very, very highly of him, which at the time, sorry again, Mel, kind of caught me by surprise. And then I further went on to learn that Mal had actually been a really big deal in his other roles, in his jobs in the financial community, on the various business associations, volunteer associations, his activity, community organizations, sports, that he actually was a very big player that had government positions, etc. And so then I kind of had to reflect, and I thought, well, it began to dawn on me that maybe this guy who was, as I said before, very friendly, but could come across a little bit bumbling, rambling, naive, maybe a little naive, definitely not threatening. Maybe he was actually very smart, very driven, very capable, and knew exactly what he was doing. And indeed, as it turned out, he was definitely all those things and a lot more. So it's been a real privilege for me, and I know it's been a real privilege for Brian as well, to have had the opportunity to work with Mal over the past number of years. As Brian was saying, the improvements that have been made, whether it's how university departments are managed or whether it's trying to clean up the very complicated and convoluted contractual relationships that exist between the WHA University Health and the GFTs, none of those advancements could have been made without Mal, and he was definitely the driver behind those changes and many, many other changes. He is definitely tenacious in how he brings issues forward, and he simply would never allow us to ignore an issue until that issue was addressed. He simply wouldn't let it go. And in my view, he was certainly courageous, particularly in relation to how he interacted with the GFTs, who were really, in many respects, his employers. I watched him, and I watched how he really challenged the GFTs he challenged their thinking on certain issues. And I think he really encouraged the GFTs to make some very difficult decisions, and that took a lot of courage. And I do believe he was very masterful in the way that he could bring very different parties together in his own kind of unique manner and somehow get them all working together to a common purpose. So I know that all of us here today are very grateful that Mal decided to wade into the complex and challenging world of UMG. He could have simply retired and been a Walmart greeter and spend time with talking to people and keeping busy. So we're grateful for that. Mal has had a very long and varied professional life, and I think many of us would be grateful to be able to somehow distinguish ourselves in our core career. Mal, however, has had numerous very different careers and volunteer experiences, and really has distinguished himself in all of those careers and all of those interests. As I said earlier, Mal's style is disarming. Behind that kind of aw shucks, friendly demeanor is someone who is very focused and very determined. When Mal sent an email to a number of us last week, updating us on his medical status in a very direct and matter-of-fact manner, which is very typical of Mal, I sat back and Brian did something on his own in a similar way, and I responded in a very heartfelt way. I thanked him for his contributions and all that he has meant to so many of us, not just as a great leader, but also as a great friend and a great human being. And I got a one-sentence response. And the one-sentence response was, "Thank you, and when are we going to address the issues in nephrology?" So Mel, I want to assure you here today that we are working on the issues of nephrology, and so you don't need to send me anywhere you can. So Mel, just to wrap up, we all hope that, with the time that you have left, I think we all hope time with your family and your close friends, no doubt reflecting on your many achievements and the many lives you've touched, that when you do think about your time at UMG, that you will know how much you are appreciated, respected, and loved by all of us.